very good morning, everyone. So I believe that this issue has been discussed everywhere. You have seen this on WhatsApp, you have seen this on Facebook, you have seen it on, you have discussed it with friends, churchmates, and there are a lot of uncertainties we are talking about whether ivermectin really helps or whether it's actually not true as what it claims. So I hope that this will help us to actually have a clearer view on the issue on ivermectin. Okay, but before I start, as always, I have a disclaimer where I need to inform every one of you, all the information on COVID-19 is very dynamic and it is updated on a daily basis. No longer like previously, when you see any scientific papers, it takes months or years to actually publish, but now it's on a daily basis. So make sure that you refer to the latest information released by relevant health authorities. And make sure whatever news that you received, maybe you came across any articles, make sure that you always check for the dates before you proceed. Because sometimes we do have friends that actually come back to me asking me, hey, CP, how come this is like that? I'm not aligned with what you said. The only thing I look into it is actually the date. Hey, look into it. This is last year, March. It's so long ago. It's no longer valid. Yeah, so these are the things that you might need to be aware whenever you came across any news. So, yep. So, little bit on ivermectin introduction. So, I think some of you might have known about it, but some of you might have might not know about it. So, ivermectin actually is discovered by a Japanese lecturer group, a Japanese researcher group, and it is actually found for its anti-parasite effects. It go against all those worms, caching, be it in animals or be it in humans. But of course, when the first discovery, it was actually used for animals. And it was marketed by Merck Sharp and Dohme, one of the biggest pharmaceutical company in the world. Yeah, so it's not some local medications, but it's something that actually done by a big pharma companies. But recently, it has been proposed by Australian researchers based on lab test result showing that it works against COVID-19 virus. But what we know is that the concentration that used in the lab, right, is actually way higher than what human can tolerate. We call it in any medications, we call it the toxicity. Okay, especially when it comes into infectious disease, we call it the selective toxicity. So the ivermectin, if we want to combat against the COVID-19 to achieve whatever we have seen in the lab, it will lose its selective toxicity. It will actually cause a side effect to humans. That's why there are a lot of debates going on. But I believe some of you who follow Parliament closely, just like me, you probably have heard of this debate on 26th of July 2021, which was a few weeks ago, where our health minister and a few MP debate about the use of ivermectin, asking to release the use of ivermectin, use the power of Minister of Health to actually enable the citizen to use it. And the debates become heated when they keep on questioning about, is there any side effect of ivermectin? Is it really safe? Where some of them actually claim that there is no issue at all. A lot of countries has been using it. And but on another side, people are defending, says that there's not enough data. So I believe hopefully today I will just bring you through and let you see what are the data available right now, and hope that it will help you to do an informed consent decision, so you will know what kind of decision you want to take, right? So I believe this has been circulated on WhatsApp, a very nice laminated piece of paper, looks very legit. Even me and my healthcare professional friends look at it and say, wow, this is something like really properly done. Is it ivermectin really a real things already? So, yeah. So let's talk about 4 different aspects of ivermectin. I'm going to discuss on its safety. Every medication, safety comes first. Let's talk about safety first, then only whether is it effective or not. Then we will go into legal issue as well as the ethical issue. So safety-wise, I believe some of you, if you have followed the Kementerian Kesehatan Malaysia Instagram or Facebook, you may have came across this poster stating that there is kesan sampingan, which means a side effect of ivermectin, such as you might experience dizziness. Some of them might experience seizure or maybe go into coma, and the worst, it can cause death. But when this poster came out, a lot of us might not be convinced. They say, just a poster, everything can just put in the poster, and how much we should believe it. So I think it is good for me to show you certain information. This is what we extract from the data that we have. For every healthcare professionals, we have resources to check on all the effects of the medications, and this is what I extract from the medication ivermectins. So if we look into the side effect of ivermectin, it can actually cause quite a number of issues. It is not as just what people claim that, oh, it is safe, there's no issue experience, nothing, no side effect at all. But actually, all throughout this year, 50 years of discovery of ivermectin, we have identified quite a number of side effects where it can actually cause burden to our heart. Okay, be it increase our heart rate by a lot, or causing edema, means water retention in our body, and sometimes it can even cause blood disorder, like it can actually disrupt our white blood cell and cause it to decrease, which will actually affect our defense system, especially during this prime time. Even just a sneeze or just a cough, everyone will start running away. So if you have a weakened defense system, definitely you are easier to caught any bacteria or viruses, which we do not want during this season. Because once you are sick, you have to go to the clinic, you have to go to the hospital where you will be exposed to people with COVID, maybe just pass by you. That is what we want to minimize. And of course, at the very high risk side, 1 to 10%, some people might actually experience liver damage. I have seen cases of liver damage associated with ivermectin before. Not me personally, but from colleagues of mine working in the hospital, they telling me that they received ivermectin patient. What happened is that he took the ivermectin by himself without any advice from healthcare professionals. So what happened is that the whole person become jaundic, very yellowish. If you know a sign of yellowish in your skin as well as your eye, is actually a sign of liver failure. And so they do a blood test on him, and found out that the liver actually suffers from some damage. That's why the whole person turned jaundic and yellowish.
I know.
So yeah, and of course there are some other side effects which is on a lower risk, less than 1%. But some of the very important one that you might want to notice is that it can actually cause coma, it can actually cause difficulty in breathing, and it can even cause hepatitis, which is actually liver inflammation. And worse, sometimes it can cause a very severe allergy reaction, which is what we call a Stevens-Johnson syndrome and toxic epidermal necrolysis, which your skin actually start to peel off, expose, and you'll be losing a lot of fluid and very painful, and it can actually cause your life. So it can cause some very bad allergy reaction. So I believe some of you might have came across this post. It was published yesterday. It was released yesterday, where it was reported that they identified 2 cases of ivermectin poisoning after consuming it. And one of the case, actually, I want to highlight a young middle age, 35. I don't think so it's middle age. It's still very young, right? So reported that he only took one single tablet of ivermectin and suffered shortness of breath for the following 5 days and have to seek for medical attention. Although they just report 2 cases in this post, but from what I know, there are more cases of ivermectin poisoning that we have encountered. Some of them, they suffer from bleeding disorders. They're oozing out blood internally. Of course, after some blood transfusion, they are safe in the hospital. But there are cases like this happening. But I believe that there is under reports to the Poison Center, National Poison Center. So 2 cases reported yesterday on the news, but I believe there are more cases of ivermectin poisoning. Right? I am not so sure if anyone of us actually took ivermectin. I do not want to ask. I will not judge. But you might have actually suffered some side effect without you knowing, because some of the side effect, it is actually a long term. It will be cumulative, and you might suffer some side effect without you knowing until you do a blood test and you detect some abnormalities in your blood test. Yeah, so that would be something that we need to be aware of. So why is it not as safe as we think? Some people will tell me, oh, I have seen people took it, but they just fine, all right? Or maybe it's just fine. So many people took it, does not matter, right? But I just want to highlight that the ivermectin safety profile, the one that show like 1 to 10%, what kind of things can happen, and less than 1%, what kind of things happen. It was established, the safety profile, it was established based on the anti-parasitic dose, the very beginning dose that the Japanese scientists that discovered and used it by MSD. All right, it is of a lower dose, okay, compared to what we have been proposed to use in the COVID-19 treatment. And the treatment for anti-parasitic effect is only for 1 day. So what happens is that you just take one single pill for 1 day, and that's it. All right. But what happened is that when people start to propose it to use for COVID-19, as I mentioned earlier, right, the dose they tested in the lab is way higher than what human can tolerate. So what happened is that the proposed ivermectin dose for COVID-19, right, it requires higher dose for 5 days. So I think this chart can help you to visualize why I say that it is not as safe as what we think, is that this is the dose for what have been approved for parasite infection. Okay, it's only for 1 day, and the dose is lower, 0.15 milligram per kg or up to 0.2 milligram per kg. So what you need to do for the whole treatment, let's say I'm 60 kg, if I times by my body weight, all I need to take is only 9 milligram. But if you are going to use it for COVID-19, as you see from the chart that I showed previously, or any people that claim it can actually help, you have to be very careful. The dose is actually way higher, standing at 0.4 milligram per kg per day, and you need to take at least for 5 days. So if you go to times it with your body weight, you will realize that the dose is actually 13 to 20 times higher than what has been approved to be safe previously. All right. So higher dose, it means that you are more likely to suffer from any side effect, and that is what we do not want to see in you. So, and there are some things that a lot of us might not notice about it. I bet that a lot of healthcare professionals also maybe overlook this because everyone was so focused on the safety and the effectiveness. Ivermectin is also known to actually interact with some of the existing medications. One of the very common one would be your blood thinner. I know that some of us might be taking blood thinner because our heart, or maybe our heart have some issue, or maybe we have suffered from a stroke before and we need a blood thinner. And it is known that it can actually interact with it and it can cause bleeding disorder. You are more likely to suffer from side effect from blood thinner if you take it with ivermectin. So these are something that you need to be very careful. That's why we do not advise people to take ivermectin by themselves. All right. So I believe that actually sums up with what I want to tell about the safety issue. But let's look into how effective. Okay. Let's say there is some safety concern. Never mind, as long as it's effective, should be fine for me, right? Can try it. Okay, so let's look into effectiveness. So what I'm going to refer to is this, we call it the Cochrane library. Okay, so Cochrane library basically is like gold standard for any controversy issue in medical field. So whenever the healthcare professionals like me in doubts, do not know what to do, we always refer to Cochrane library. All right, it done a fantastic job in doing a review on publications. What they do is that they collect all the publications, scientific publication on the world. They compile it and they do a statistical analysis to actually come up with a conclusion stating that whether what would be the correct way to do it, how reliable is the information, or how reliable is the statistics. And through the pool data from different studies, they can actually come up with a conclusion. All right. So of course, since ivermectin is like a heated topic, up until WHO also discussed about it. So of course, Cochrane Library, they will also do a review on the current evidence showing that what is actually about, whether is it effective or not. So this study, it was published recently on end of July, which is like 2 weeks ago. So it's quite new and quite latest. So let's look into whether does ivermectin prevent COVID-19. There are two parts of the issue that we have to look into. Some of the people that claim that ivermectin actually can prevent COVID-19, and some of them is proposing to treat COVID-19. So there are two different things that we will discuss. So in this summary, I took this from Cochrane Library, Cochrane Review on the current evidence that we have. So what has been shown that currently there are no study, no study reported that the ivermectin can actually prevent COVID-19. It means that there's no people actually study about it. So I have no idea how people actually came up with saying that ivermectin can actually prevent COVID-19. But in fact, right, there's not even a study to talk about it. And secondly, whether people with COVID-19 and does it prevent you from getting a worse infection. So what happened is that the Cochrane review actually found some study also for this one, not for prevention, but actually for progressing into worsening disease. It actually shows that there are studies, but the studies quality is very low. They are subject to a lot of biases. For example, the way that they conduct the study is incorrect, or maybe there are conflict of interest, or maybe there are issues with it. So it actually shows that there's no study of low risk of bias that actually reported will helps with the progression. But I just wish to actually emphasize that how do we do modern medicines in nowadays? Everything that we actually decide, everything that we actually do is based on clinical research, research publication, and we look at the statistics, and we will see how likely the things will be helpful. So everything, it comes with something to back the statistics, to back the claim in treating certain diseases. Okay, so it's not like out of nowhere. So this is how we actually do it. So there is absolutely no evidence to support that it actually prevents COVID-19. But how about treatment? Let's say if someone infected with COVID-19, does it really help? So of course, Cochrane Review also will actually look into it, and we have two different categories to look into. One category are those with COVID-19 infection, but do not have any symptom or maybe very mild symptom. On another hand, we will have people with a very severe, moderate to severe COVID-19. So for a medicine to work, if let's say a medicine is going to work, usually it will show a very prominent result in a very severe disease, all right, rather than the very mild one. So I will look into the moderate to severe disease, and I will show you. So if you look into the statistics, right, you will see the RR, relative risk. This is what we actually interpret, have some result in there. So you might face some of the people actually telling you, hey, I read the paper, articles online, scientific papers online, saying that it actually reduced the risk, and that is it. All right, it reduced the risk. So I think we should use ivermectin. But it actually took another extra steps for us to actually interpret the results. If any one of you are into statistics, you will look into the confidence interval. So if you see this confidence interval, I'm just taking one example, 0.14 to 2.51. All right. So what happened is that when we look into statistics, we will actually look into how confident are we with this data. So if any data, right, crossing 1, means that 0.000 something to 1, if let's say the data, the range actually cross 0 point something to 1 and above, it means that the result is not reliable. So if you go down to the column, right, you will see 0.14 all the way to 1, then go up to 2.51. it means that the data is not reliable. Although the relative risk, it says that it helps, but when you look into the data, it says that it's very unlikely for it to happen. Yeah, I think it's helped, but it is very unlikely to happen. So same for other data, 0.11, you cross until 1, then 1 to 2.59. It means that it's another result says that it's not reliable. So after compiling all the data, the Cochrane review actually came up with a statement. They are not against it. This is what Cochrane will usually do. They will not say that it does not work, but how they're going to say that it is very unlikely it's gonna work. All right, that is how they actually phrase it, because they do not want to eliminate the chances, but based on the statistics, it says that it is very unlikely for it to be helpful. So you can see that it says that very unlikely to prevent death, very unlikely to actually help in preventing worsening of COVID-19, very unlikely to improve the patient and helping them to not need the intubation and etc. So this is what the data shows. All of it shows that very unlikely. All right. So it's 1 point out of 4 points. So it's not really supporting it, I would say. Same goes to the data on for very mild patient. It does not say that it helps a lot, right? So then people will start to question, but I have seen Indonesia, India, and Philippines start using ivermectin. Don't you think that their government do a better job and they actually do a very good research before they actually decide with the policy? Here is what I'm going to share with what is really happening in India and Indonesia. I'm not going to talk about Philippines today. Okay, so in India, okay, the decision to use ivermectin in India was based on the pre-printed, means that a publication that just the researcher have done. There's no third party that actually review it. We call it the peer review. Nobody reviewed the result. Nobody looked into the data, and they just publish it. All right. But what happened is that the India actually used this paper as their backup evidence to actually make the policy. I know it's a desperate move, but actually, yeah, I understand what they're actually having their stress in actually making the decision. But what happened is that later, that paper, that publication that used, it was found that there are some misconduct issues with that particular paper. And what happened is that that paper, some of the data was fabricated. Some of the good result, they actually duplicate the patient that actually showing some response and duplicate it, and so that they will show a very nice figure on the statistics saying that it will help. So after a peer review, it was found that it actually has some ethical issue. The researcher is not being honest, so the publication has been pulled out from the database. So what happened is that after that, the India actually withdraw the approval of ivermectin use for COVID-19. I believe a lot of you actually heard they use, but just very little of us actually heard that they actually withdraw the approval of ivermectin. So now that the Indonesia is no longer using ivermectin, this was around, I think, around June of this year. So a few numbers of medication they actually dropped out from COVID-19 treatment in India. So yeah, it's no longer true. So Indonesia, on the other hand, our neighbor, right? Yes, they do approve ivermectin, but just like Malaysia, they only approve it for clinical trial in 8 of their hospitals, and there have been no approval given for other users. So if you heard that doctors in Indonesia, they are using ivermectin, if they are not in the clinical trial, they are doing illegal things also. So yeah. So that actually sums up with what I want to say for effectiveness. So far, there's been no evidence showing that it actually helps in treating or preventing COVID-19. So very unlikely it will be helpful. So next up, let's talk about legal issue. Okay, legal issue is one of the things that people might overlook with this ivermectin, but a lot of us actually start to actually highlighting it for people to understand why it is no it's a no-go to use ivermectin. All right. So what does the Malaysia law say? I'm quoting this from the law book, which I always keep with me because I also have to deal with things about legality when it comes to medication use. So if you look into a few laws that actually mix in Malaysia, one of it is called the Poison Act 1952. It states that ivermectin is actually classified as a Group B medication. What does it mean? Group B medication, CP. So it actually, right, all the medication in Malaysia, there are different categories from A, B, C, D, and some of other things will be like cosmetic and etc. So the higher the ranking, the more dangerous the drug, right? So ivermectin is actually classified as Group B. What does it mean by Group B? Morphine is Group B. Cocaine is actually Group C, which is not so dangerous. Your cough syrup is Group C, but ivermectin, it is Group B. That is how we actually classify the dangerous level of it. All right. So, and it was stated that nobody shall sell it without any license. And let's look into Control of Drug and Cosmetic Regulation 1984, Section 771. If there's any lawyer here, please correct me the way that I actually quote any section in the law book. Okay, so except otherwise provided in this regulation, no person shall manufacture, very important, sell, supply, import, possess, or administer any products unless they are registered product. Okay, or a person that hold an appropriate license like me, or maybe Huyen, okay, that actually can deal with this medication. So what does it mean by this law? Let's look into it. In Malaysia, the ivermectin imported and registered in Malaysia, right, is only for animal use. Okay, it was never approved for human use. So if you have any ivermectin that you bought it from elsewhere, all of it claimed for human use, right, it is illegal. All right. All the legal ivermectin in Malaysia, it is for animal use only. And those they use in the hospital for human study, it was imported by another special approval. So if you have any ivermectin holding with you, it is actually illegal. How do you check it? You can actually see whether there's a hologram tagged by the government. If without it, it is actually illegal. And what does this regulation say is that if you having an ivermectin by itself, it is considered as illegal already. All right. And if you share it with your family or friend, or you use it yourself, right, it is also considered as an illegal act. Okay. So, yep. Even for that purpose, Malaysia Pharmacy Society, as well as the Malaysia Medical Association, which means the professional body for doctors as well as pharmacists, both also came out with a joint statement stating that it is actually illegal to sell ivermectin. So if you see any doctors in a private clinic or private hospital or any pharmacies that actually sell you ivermectin, all of them are actually doing illegal act. Okay, if you want, you can actually report them. Yeah. So it is not only that, even the government came out with a circular, the circulars stating that do not use ivermectin, do not sell it, do not actually compound it into a different form. So all of it is actually considered as illegal act. This is actually a government statement on 4th of August. All right. So then people will start to ask me, the doctor says that it's actually off-label use, so don't need to go through all these approval things, right? No, not actually, not really like that. If you actually look back to what our Director General of Health, Dr. Chang, say that the off-label use of ivermectin is only to treat COVID-19. It's for clinical trial in the 12 hospital in Malaysia. So if outside of it, it is not approved for the off-label use. So it is no-go at all. All right. So then people will say, nobody's going to know lah, or I'm this just ikan bilis kecil. Nobody's going to notice me if I'm trading or selling or maybe using the ivermectin by myself. I will just be fine, right? Yeah. But this is what happened. Some of my enforcement officers says that they actually seize quite a number of illegal ivermectin. They are actively checking it. If you buy it from Shopee, Lazada, or whatsoever, they might be able to trace you. They are actually seizing all the warehouse that actually keep ivermectin. But so far, they have not taken an action to actually say that they want to sue lah. But maybe in the future, I'm not so sure. But what happened is that the next one I think is more related to us. I believe some of us might have insurance with us, be it a life insurance or medical insurance. Just as I discussed just now, ivermectin do have some side effects. So I took an extra step. I called up a few of my insurance agent friends to just verify with them. So insurance agent A actually says that since the government already came out with a memo like that, the circulating like that, so any individual, right, actually fall sick because of taking ivermectin and suffer from any side effect, require treatment, it will not be covered by the insurance because it is just like a suicide attempt. You are trying to take medication to kill yourself. So the insurance company will not cover. Let's look into another agent. The agent says that like in such a case, it's actually considered like a drug abuse already. You are misusing the drug. Okay, you are misusing the medication. So for that purpose, if you so happen to pass away or suffer from any issue, both life insurance and medical insurance will not cover the said individual if they face any issue. So it means that basically you are trying to kill yourself. For in their point of view, you are trying to kill yourself. So they are not going to cover you for that. But is there any black and white to say that? Yeah, there is. Actually, I go and correct back my insurance terms and condition. I just highlighted it. So any illegal drug use, right, will be excluded from the cover. So it means that right now ivermectin use is illegal. So if you try to use it, it will actually void your eligibility to claim for any issues that arise. All right. Let's say so happen that you use it, but you don't suffer from any side effect, but due to some reason you fall sick and you need hospital admission, and maybe you suffer from something similar as ivermectin side effect, they might exclude you from the claim. So this is what we do not want to see, right? So after everything that I've actually gone through with you all, my verdict is that taking the situation right now, looking at the evidence we have published, the evidence is available. We are still waiting for what Malaysia has been doing. Malaysia, there are 12 hospitals doing ivermectin studies, clinical trial, just to confirm that it really don't help or it will help. So the data is expected to come in next month. But for now, my verdict is that there is not enough support for us to say that ivermectin will actually be helpful. So judging from whatever we are seeing right now, I felt that it is more risk to take ivermectin than the benefits it claims to save. So until there are some major data proven that it is actually helpful, I don't think so we should try it. That is my take. So meanwhile, we just wait for more data to come in and try to refrain ourselves from self-administer ivermectin. In fact, the COVID-19 situation is rising. Now it's standing at 21,000 cases a day. What we do not want is we self-administer ivermectin. We fall sick. We go into hospital. We do not have COVID. We become getting caught the COVID from the hospital, or we are adding a burden to the healthcare system, which is oversaturated right now. So this would be the things that I would say. And lastly, ethical issue. Is there any ethical issue that we actually need to talk about after all three chapters that we have gone through just now? This is the one that I actually not going to show you any slide, but I just want to talk to you all about it. So if you are healthcare professionals, imagine this: any issue arise from you giving up ivermectin. If anything suffer from and if the said individual suffer from any side effect or any issue with ivermectin, who's going to be responsible for it? All right. If let's say they have decided to sue you, of course you'll be losing from this one. Definitely, you on the law side you'll be definitely losing the lawsuit. But as an individual, let's say you have friends, you have family, if you share ivermectin, or if you actually give other people to use ivermectin, or maybe I've heard news that there are employers that are forcing their employees to take ivermectin. Oh, okay. If anything happened to them, let's say they suffer from any issue, are you going to responsible for any issue that arise, like their medical bill, their hospitalization, or their life? This is something that we have to ask ourselves. Looking into the benefits of it is not as it promised, and the safety issue. And also, whenever we see news about ivermectin saying that it will actually help, and it says that this is claim that it actually works, before we click the share button, how many of us actually thought that it will actually cause a life later on? We do not know how many times it will be forward in the future. We never do a proper review about the statistic, the data that actually discuss about it. And what we do is just at our fingertip, we just forward the message and pass it to the next person and the next person and the following person. And one of the person might be convinced and start taking ivermectin without knowing the all the issue, without having the consent. I say the informed consent. Let's say if you have known all the issue and you decide to take it, I will not say a word. All right, please don't laugh, okay? But are you going to be responsible for it? No, right? So there's also a lot of ethical issue about it. So please refrain ourselves. Let's say if you are not so sure about it, let's ask the professionals about this issue. In fact, I would say some of the healthcare professionals, be it doctor, pharmacists, nurses, dentists, they might also not look into the data so detailedly. Okay, I am quite fortunate. I have a chance to attend a talk by one of the Cochrane reviewer. He actually showed me all the back-end data, and they show us the biasness of each studies. And there was one study that I actually mentioned just now, got some ethical issue. They fabricated the data, and so the data was pulled out from publication. He even showed me that data. So with that data into the statistics, it shows that it seems like be very helpful. But once the data pull out from the pool of data they have, the statistics straight away says that it is actually not promising. So you can say that sometimes if you're not careful about it, even the people in this field, we might be misleading also. So what you say about what's not about public, right? So be very careful with what we want to share. Yeah. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
And thank you very much, CP. I think that was really enlightening. So I'm sure you all have questions. So I'd like you to ask the questions, either put it in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask CP directly, because these concerns our life, right? Not only our lives, but the lives of those that we love. A lot of people actually don't really know the true facts about ivermectin. And so this is a chance to clarify so that you can also help yourself and help others as well. Okay, anybody got any questions? Please ask. Okay.
I will try my best to answer, but if let's say I can't, then I will just jot it down and then I will just come back to you later. Yeah. So if you have any issues.
I have a question. If ivermectin is that negative, how come first world countries like United States and Australia are using it so rampantly?
Okay, about this issue, right?
I'm not sure about Australia. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Australia. Okay. No, Australia is confirmed.
Okay, let's talk about whether is it really using. From what I know, right, the country, the first world country, they are not using ivermectin. Okay, ivermectin user is more prominent in a third world country. Okay, this is what I can really confirm with you. That's why you will see a lot of countries like India, Philippines, and Indonesia, our surrounding country, they are using ivermectin. The reason behind it is really cheap, and they are very desperate. For first world country, people thought that, I'm not so sure if anyone of you know about it. For so many of us that thought that ivermectin do not really have a cure, but we do really have some medication that actually helps in ivermectin treatment. The medication is expensive, all right? It is very expensive medication, but the first world country can afford it. Malaysia so happen we can afford it as well. Okay, it is not something that actually like rocket science that they actually use to treat COVID-19 right now. There are a few that actually they are using. One of it is actually steroid, which some of the third world country might have issue to access to it. I remember India, they're having issue to source for steroid because it's injectable form steroid. And that's why they actually very desperate, they move to ivermectin, but now they actually stop it. But I'm very sure that countries like Australia and United States, they have medication like steroid. They have medications like monoclonal antibody, which is very expensive. Malaysia is still using it. So I don't think so. In the first world country, they will be using ivermectin. There are studies trying to prove it because in the academic world, if you prove something like a blockbuster like this, they will be very famous. There will be a lot of fame on their name. But Australia, they are researchers, they are trying to prove it. But so far, they are not able to say that it is helpful. There are research going on, there are clinical trials going on, but not for public. It is only under very strict supervision by the doctors and the nurses and healthcare professionals. They are doing it in the hospital. Yeah, I hope they actually solve your doubts.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to say is that so far it has been difficulty proving that it works. That is the issue. Yeah. I'm not as smart saying that it will cost. I'm not saying that it's negative, all right, about ivermectin. I want to remain neutral. I want to remain open on the ivermectin. But until the data says that, told me that it is actually helpful, I'm not going to try it. Yeah, that is what my take lah. Yes. And that is why a lot of countries, despite all the data saying that it is not helpful, but there are so many countries like Malaysia and Indonesia, even Australia, they are trying to do clinical studies to prove it whether it works or it don't work, right? That is why we are concerned. We are so concerned about the resources that we have. We do not just want to say based on the current data, it is not working and stop like that. No, that's why all the health authorities, they are still trying to do clinical research despite the data is showing like that. They're still trying to confirm it. Yeah, we are not saying that like very negatively on ivermectin, but we are trying to give a chance to also prove. But by how? By a very proper plan, clinical trial under a very good supervision by the healthcare professionals, not by self-administering.
Dr. CP, I have a question. Oh, sorry, I on my video. You most likely is it part of the ivermectin?
No, this is not ivermectin. I know about this. This is called the 莲花清瘟胶囊, right? But I think the one that you're holding is not registered in Malaysia.
but you think it's safe to use to
okay,
consume?
I only say whatever is available in Malaysia, yeah. Okay, for this 莲花清瘟, can you show again? Yeah. I mean, if somebody wants to look at it, okay, they are approved products of this 莲花清瘟胶囊 in Malaysia. It was approved by Kementerian Kesehatan Malaysia. What it serves is actually it reduces the symptom only. Like you're having a cough and cold. You know Hurex 600, the capsule, right? It actually serves the same purpose. It just helps you to reduce a bit of like a running nose, sore throat like that. But it is not going to cure the COVID or prevent it. So yeah, it's like a symptomatic relief, like just like Panadol.
Yeah, so we should treat him is like Chinese medicine, right? It cannot consider as a part of the ivermectin that we are talking about.
No. It's not. But I will also advise because of this 莲花清瘟capsule, right? I also asked some of my Chinese medicine doctor. Asking whether when it can be used or when it cannot be used. From what my friend told me, she told me that it's a bit complicated. She usually to assess like like in Chinese medicine, there's like yin and yang, and also like heaty or maybe a very cold body, things like that. They have to assess about the symptom first before they can decide whether can use or not. But very simple things that she told me is that if you have a very bad GI tract, a very bad tummy, like you always have diarrhea or always have stomach discomfort or very weak stomach lah, she advised not to take this D.Pharm because it can actually gutch out the stomach a bit. Yeah, this is what she told me lah.
Okay, okay.
Correct.
Dr. CP, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Diane here. Thank you very much for your enlightening thing. Because people are taking ivermectin like nobody's business now. I also like, what is this miracle drug or whatever? So people have been sending things. This link, it says I'm not sure whether, like you say, a lot of unbiasedness and all that. The pharmaletter.com, it says ivermectin can kill COVID-19 within 48 hours, 2 days. Monash University study finds. But this is dated in April 2020 lah. So how true is this statement?
Okay, if I have not looked into the paper, I will not able to comment on it lah. But I think I have read something similar from elsewhere. If not mistaken, the data was taken, it was drawn in the lab, not on human body. They use a very high dose of ivermectin, if not mistaken. But I need to look into that particular statement that they claim lah. Yeah, they are actually paper says that it will actually stop the COVID-19 and it will actually kill off the COVID-19 virus. But it was done in the lab. All right, whatever done in the lab, we will try to actually replicate it in the human body. But what I have said just now is that the dose that used in the lab is very high dose. It's not something that human body can tolerate. It lost its selective toxicity. That is what we consider. Oh, okay, you actually share it.
Okay, my question is, when you say lab means one tablet is 12 mg. So the lab use how many mg? Is it 100?
No. They don't use by mg. They actually go by the concentration. Like so it is not like by tablet because it's in the petri dish in the test tube. They don't go by the sorry, just a moment. They don't go by the hello. They don't go by the tablet. They actually go by the concentration. Yeah. And it is not like can directly convert into the dose or using tablet.
So the report yesterday, the 35-year-old died because consuming 15 ivermectin pills in one sitting. So
that one is definitely overdose lah.
Yeah. But just now you mentioned there was another case, one pill only, is it? Or one tablet means
yes, one pill only and suffers from a side effect.
Oh, so this is 15, definitely will die lah.
Yeah, 15
unconscious
pills
state. Coma already.
Too much lah. Just a moment.
So why would a person consume 15? Is it because the lab actually used about 15 pills?
Hello? Sorry boleh tak you just drop kat pintu sebab saya ada meeting. Sorry. You just letak kat pintu sana saja, atas mailbox. Okay. Hello, sorry.
No problem.
I got a call suddenly. Why does the person consume 15 tablets? I have no idea. Either he got misled by the information, or maybe he's just too worried about getting a COVID and he tried to take ivermectin just to prevent themselves from getting it. I'm really not sure. It sounds like me just like someone is having a very bad stomach ache and then they take Panadol, like a lot of Panadol, and end up with liver failure. So no, I think that is an exceptional case for the 15 pills, but for the one pill, it's worth highlighting. Yeah. Sorry, I got disrupted just now. I got a call on my phone just now. Suddenly, spamming my phone.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So there is actually some truth in the it kills within 48 hours lah. As in, it will stop the COVID from spreading to the nucleus, human DNA nucleus, is it?
It is in the lab. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So whatever in the labs, you cannot just use it on human just like that. It need to be proven in human.
Yeah. Like you say, the risk is more than the benefits lah. That's why
The
it's
risk is more than the benefit. Yeah.
yeah.
For
That's
now,
why it's to be
I
avoided.
would not see lah. Yeah. But just to be very clear, for every medications, everything it was started in the lab first. Okay, I'm just sharing with you some of the medication development processes. All the medications, right, over the year, there are thousands and thousands of new medication, new chemical entities come out from the research lab. But you will see that only a few limited of them actually got approved and be used on human. Why is it so? Because even they have tested in the lab saying that it will be helpful. When they test it in human, a lot of the time, right, it actually shows that it's not helpful. Okay, because human body is a very dynamic one. And what in the lab is just a cell. It's not the whole body. There's no stomach in the lab, there's no liver in the lab, there's no other body parts in the lab, it's just a cell. So that's why you will see out of thousands and thousands of chemical entities, only like a few, maybe less than 100 that makes it into the market. Definitely less than 100, maybe just a few only per year. So why is it so many monies thrown into it but so little outcome? It's because when they put it into human use, either it shows a very bad side effect or it does not show the effect that promised in the lab. So it's the same case for ivermectin. Yeah. Right now, it is not showing the result on human body.
I see.
As promised.
So if for a critical COVID patient, I mean, will be there anyway within the next few hours. If they choose to elect for this ivermectin, which hospital actually does this clinical study?
For that, I also not so sure whether what is their recruitment criteria. Usually, they will have a recruitment criteria for those with a very late stage of COVID-19. Yeah, but further details on it, I'm not so sure about that also.
Oh, how many hospitals in Malaysia?
12.
12, I see.
Yes, 12
so
hospitals.
All are government hospitals, right?
Yes.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. CP.
Amen. Very good. Very good. Praise God. Okay. Any more questions or not before we close out? Any nagging questions? Yeah, this is your last chance.
Feel free to text me if you really have doubts lah. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, you can also text CP. Any consultation fee or not?
A cup of coffee.
After you receive a bill, I will receive a bill.
Yeah. So I think when a person is desperate, they will try. I have a friend already don't know third or fourth stage. I'm grasping for oxygen already. So when they went into, I tell you the hospital, Sungai Buloh, he brought the ivermectin along. Tell the doctor said, take. So he took. He was actually already in coma, but he came out. He recovered. So he said while he was there, the doctor said, take.
The doctor says
so whether this is under clinical trial, we don't know, but they were encouraged to take, because even the doctor there also cannot do anything.
I'm very doubtful about that because Sungai Buloh is the infectious disease Malaysia in the Malaysia setting, and there are a few things that I'm very concerned about because whenever people told me, oh, they took ivermectin and they recovers from it, when they say that based on a person by person's testimony, I always have a doubt in that. Is it happen by chance or is it really helpful? So what I'm saying that if the person do not take the ivermectin, they might be recover from it as well. That is why we are not so sure whether this claim is true or not true. So that's why there's also there's clinical trial to confirm it. So just to brief what happened in the clinical trial, maybe some of you, if let's say you are interested to know, what happened in the clinical trial is that they will recruit participants, the sick person. What happened is that there will be a group of it receiving the ivermectin, and there will be another group of it that do not receive it. And then they compare what happens to them after like 28 days. Do they improve faster? Do the medication prevent them from dying? Do the medication help them in recovering? This is what happened in the clinical research. So through there's a comparison, then they only can say that, okay, the medication is really helping. We can see a drastic difference compared to what people that does not take. But right now, what happened is that if you look into things like this, right, people saying that have testimony says that I took it and I recovered. The first question we will ask is that, really? Is it happen by chance, or is it really the medication is helping?
You see, but the problem is, if the person don't try, if the person don't take, how are we going to know? There are risks.
That's why there's a clinical trial.
Everything we do, there are risks. Sorry.
The problem is if we do not do it in the proper monitoring, anything happen, who is going to be responsible for it, right? That is what we are worried about. Someone have to monitor it.
Mr. Yeah, Dr. Chong, I have a question to ask regarding about this ivermectin. You says that that if anybody who took the ivermectin, is anything happen to you, the side effect or whatsoever, even though he's cured, later he got a side effect that he cannot claim insurance, right? What if this patient who is affected with COVID-19 and he is under clinical trial, took that medicine and is cured, and then later he has side effect? Will they be eligible for the insurance claim?
Okay, this is a very interesting one. Because the clause, right, stating that it's not eligible to claim for insurance, right, is stating that if it is an illegal use of the medication, that is what they say that it is not eligible. Okay, but let's say for clinical trial, it was approved by the government stating it is legal. By right, it should not be a problem. But I think this should be verified with the insurance agency. It's best to verify with them first whether should it cause any issue. But the point of discussion with me and the insurance agent's friend is that when the ivermectin is illegally used, and that will not be covered. But in this case, clinical trial, it is legal. It is under the supervision of hospital, and it is approved by the government. So I think for that point, right, it shouldn't cause any issue, but best to check with the insurance company.
Okay, thank you.
I think CK point out a very good thing about organ failures. Actually, one of the side effects that we are afraid with ivermectin is actually causing liver damage, which is also happening in what we can see in a COVID-19 patient. So when it was not under a supervision, it was not taken under a supervision, we do not know whether it's the COVID that caused the organ failure or it's the ivermectin. So that's why I advise not to take ivermectin by yourself. I think that is the key message. Yeah.
I know of several people who have recovered. You know, they started off with COVID, it was positive, and they have taken ivermectin, but very carefully, in the sense that they took it today, tomorrow, and then 1 week once on a 12 mg basis, and they all recovered. That's about 7 of them that I have recovered. this is also, I don't know, I personally feel when something doesn't profit big pharma, then of course the government hospitals always, they always back up big pharma, right? With their drugs. So there's a lot of...
No, that's not true. Sorry. sorry. Pastor Patricia, this one, I will tell you, it is not true. I work in a hospital before. We always run on tight budget, very tight budget. Okay, until that sometimes we don't even have money to spend on medications, very tight budget. So if anything that can save costs, our eye will just blink like that. So in support of big pharma company, I think it is not true, because in a government hospital, we try to use generic medications as much as possible. What does it mean by generic medication? Which means it is not from the innovators company, which is the when the innovators, they came up with a new medication, there's what we call the patent with them for a number of years. When the patent expired, then the other companies can manufacture it at a very, very low cost. And the hospital, we always buy in the non-patent medication, which is way cheaper. So if you ask me, are we like really supporting big pharma company? I would say we are trying our best to save costs. Actually, we do not have enough money. Yeah. So sorry, I would say I will personally debunk that. That is not true, lah. Yeah. And if let's say I think the claim on Ivermectin is a cheap medication and we are in support of big pharma company, I think that's not true, because Ivermectin, right, the innovator is actually a big pharma company, and that company does not claim anything with Ivermectin at all. So I think that actually makes a very good stand, because the company themselves, they do not have the evidence to support the use in COVID-19. It's Merck shot and doom. If you check the ranking of pharmaceutical company, right, I think it's top 3. Yeah, one of the top 3 pharma company in Malaysia, in the whole world. MST, Merck shot and doom. So I don't think so. It's a bit of conspiracy there. Don't think so.
CP, I support you. Felicia here. Having worked in big pharma company previously, yes, I think government hospital, at that time when I was there, I heard mostly going for generic companies actually. Yeah, it's cost.
Your drugs is very expensive.
Yes. So it's not really supporting big companies, but big companies, the advantage is they are very strong in research. Yeah. So yeah, just to support. Having
just to cross verify my statement, it's true.
Yes. It's true. Yeah.
I think it's very much a personal perception, because there are some doctors who are for it. There are some doctors who are not for it. So when you are in that position, when you are desperate, you will try. My own brother 3 weeks ago was infected. So under the supervision of a pharmacist, he took it. Okay, he recovered. But under supervision of the pharmacist. So I mean, I'll leave it to individual. When you are desperate, you will do it, you will take it on.
I do respect
just
a personal
opinion.
I'm
not saying,
this is a personal opinion. No worry. But I do respect your decision. Whatever decision you want to make is fine. But my standpoint here is very straightforward, clear and easy. I have shown all the evidences. I have shown all the benefits, whether there's any benefits or any harms that associated with it on a legal perspective or anything. The decision is all yours. I do respect that. But the only thing that the concern that I've actually listed out. So I believe all of us actually understand. Of course, I'm not here to actually say that judging you on what you do or what you do. Right. So yeah, it's a personal choice. But whether
I believe as long as
whether
you
the
distribution.
other doctors or pharmacists they are doing it. My personal comment is that it is stated very clearly. It is unethical to do so. So yeah, that's it.
Praise the Lord. Right, a big thank you to CP. Thank you very much, CP, for, let's give him a big hand. Okay, so any other questions I can welcome to text in. Okay, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer all your questions. I think this really affects everyone, and everyone is so caught up with this issue. Okay, I think there's a question from the chat box. CP, you'd like to have a look? I think I saw a question pop up.
How to differentiate the stages of COVID-19? There are a few parameters that will assess from stage 1 to stage 5. Okay, based on the symptoms and presentation. Usually, the COVID-19 patient will be actually stage 1 and 2 lah. If let's say you have no symptom at all, you are tested positive, but you don't feel any difficulty in breathing, nothing at all. There's no dizziness, no shortness of breath. You will just be classified as stage 1. If let's say you have some symptom, then maybe stage 2. But when the oxygen level starts to drop, and they will go into stage 3. And if let's say needing what we call oxygen support, then they will go into stage 4 and stage 5. And stage 5, you will see a lot of people suffering from complications from the COVID-19 infection, like blood clot, like lung, it become fibrotic, it come to what we call it lost its function and integrity of the anatomical integrities, then it will be stage 5 lah. So it actually is based on the symptoms. They will do examination on the patient, and they will do tests on the patient to differentiate which stage they are. Yeah.
Okay, there's another question from I think it's Derek. How do you verify if you're false positive or asymptomatic?
How do I verify it's a false positive or asymptomatic? Okay, I think currently in the market there are 2 different kind of tests that you can actually do. One is the rapid test kit. Recently has been approved by the government. You can actually do it yourself, collect your own saliva, or maybe just a swab in your nostril, and you will actually tells you the result. Another one is to send the sample to the lab and do a PCR test. I think the concern with us right now is that not a false positive, but we are afraid of false negative, right? If let's say false positive, at most, right, you just quarantine yourself for 10 days, and if you have working from home, you have a laptop, you still can do work within that 10 days. But let's say if you are false negative, that is the bigger problem, because you will be going around and start to spread it to other people. False positive, I think, is very unlikely with a PCR test. I think previously, I think it's last year, there are issues with saying that it's false positive. But the issue, right, is actually with the value called CT value, call it the turnover value with the PCR test. Because the longer you wait, the value will actually start to increase. When it the value go above 35, it will be stated as negative. So that is the concern. So maybe the first time you tested it, it says that positive, but after a few days, you say that you don't believe the result, you go and test for the next day, right? It becomes negative. It is possible to be that way. But does it mean that it's a false positive? I think that it is just because it goes beyond the value of 35. And it become less infectious, and that's why it tested as a negative. But my concern is not really a false positive. False positive but asymptomatic, you will just be fine. Except that you need to be quarantined maybe, but I'm more worried about false negative, which it can happen with the self-test kit, because the accuracy is not as high as the PCR. I think it's standing about 91% accuracy. Yeah. So there are 9% of chances it do not show the accurate result. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. CP. Jared here. Just wanted to know which one is better, RTK test or PCR test?
PCR test is more accurate.
PCR is more accurate. Okay.
Yes.
All right. But how I've come across where it's kind of funny. RTK you can get negative, but when you do PCR, you can get positive.
Yes.
That
is what I meant by false negative. Yeah.
False negative.
It is actually positive, but the rapid testing kit is not sensitive enough or not accurate enough to tell that it is actually positive.
All right.
Yeah, that's why the better way is use the PCR. PCR is way accurate. I think it's standing around 98% the accuracy. It's
okay.
way sensitive and way accurate compared to self-test kit. Self-test kit, there's one issue because we are doing it ourselves. Sometimes we're also not sure the technique that we use is correct or not.
Yeah, correct.
So that is the concern. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, doctor.
Maybe just a quick one to address what Danny asked about new variant. This is what we can share early. I think it's early last month. Early last month. The COVID-19 cases in Malaysia, the variant, right, is half beta, half delta. But right now, by this week, right, it is 100% delta variant, which is the very infectious one. So I think, is there any advice that I can give? Yeah, first is get vaccinated. We all know that there are some reduction in the effectiveness in the vaccine against the delta, but it is not no effect. It's just slightly reducing. Okay, so it still has some effect that can actually protect you. Secondly, is my advice is that social distancing. 1 meter is no longer enough. The new guideline is as far as possible. All right, as far as possible. Okay, not just 1 meter, but as far as possible and as short as possible. Third advice would be wearing mask, double up. All right. If you have like go for grocery shopping or maybe tapao, you will start see people wearing 2 masks. Okay. What you need to do is that you need to make sure that you wear it properly, because from what I have observed, I can tell that a lot of us, we are not wearing it properly. Okay, it should be a very tight fit. Maybe what we can do is maybe we can just YouTube it and on how to properly wear a double mask. That's one thing. Yeah, because up until today, I still see a lot of people do not wear it properly. Yes. For those what I know, or like places that I usually go to tapao, or maybe the shop that I visit, I will always talk to the shop owner because I'm friends with them. So I will just tell them, oh, that's how you can actually do it. But a lot of them don't take it seriously. That's the issue. That's why we still see 21K cases up until today, because it's more infectious, but we are not improving on how we protect ourselves. Yeah. And last one, I think, is personal hygiene. Whenever go out, after you reach home, wash your hand, wash your face, and then if possible, take a shower, clean it up, change a new set of clothes. Yeah. To answer Jimmy, single mask with face shield, is that good enough instead of double mask? A double mask is, in my opinion, is better. Double mask plus face shield is even better. Yeah. But I will prioritize the double mask compared to having a face shield. Reason is because it's no longer about the air droplet. Like if I talk to people, my saliva might accidentally fly out. It's no longer that issue, but it's whenever you breathe out and whenever people breathe in, the air itself, right, it contains the virus, because it no longer air droplet. We used to claim that it's actually the air droplet that we actually infect another people, but now it's actually, we are stating that because the Delta variant, right, is actually airborne. Yeah, it can stay in the air for maybe an hour. So yes, there's one issue. That's why wearing it properly will help. Face shield, it shield you, but it don't block the air, it don't filter the air. That's the issue. is N95 better, or using a single N95 is as good as wearing double mask? Yeah. All right.
Other question like copper mask.
Copper mask.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't really have data to say that copper mask is better. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right. There's no need for double mask if you are wearing a KF95 or N95. Yeah. The key issue is that you have to ensure that it's airtight seal around your face. Then it will help a lot. The issue with disposable mask is that it is not very well fit to our face. That's why we need a fabric mask to actually, very elastic fabric mask to actually press against our face to actually hold the disposable surgical mask in place. Then it will help with the filter.
Okay. There's a question that shows, they ask whether we should go to hospital when oximeter shows 92 and below.
Actually, yes.
Huh? Oh, is it? 92 is dangerous already.
Below 95 is dangerous. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I think that's all. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. And so take care and stay safe.